Here we are back for our second official. We just don't count the first one. The first episode we did is like Highlander 3 or 2, Highlander 2, the original.
Irrelevant.
It never happened. We're just skipping. It never happened. First episode never happened. So this is show number 2. Actually, number 3. But first one you'll never find. Is it 3? Did I post first one?
I don't know. I didn't think you were.
Okay. All right. I am one of the 3 hosts. I am Don, also known as Scrivian in almost every single MMO and other game that we play. I'm joined by Steve, known as Godmocker in most games.
Yo.
And Dwayne, as Greer Reaver in most games as well.
I'm pretty much all over the world.
All over the world. He's world famous Greer Reaver. I think when I was
you found out about it tonight. World famous.
I actually saw it before when I was. If people want to check, if you go to Egypt, go to what is it, Alexandria, go to the 3 pyramids there. Go to the Sphinx. Front right paw, you can find near the sand thing there. It's carved into the side there. Greer Reaver. Go look. Check it out. Check it out.
Yes.
I thought that was Giza.
This top secret.
Oh, you're right. It is Giza. The pyramids of Giza.
Get your locations right, goddammit.
Listen, it doesn't matter where the pyramid is. It's amazing. It's top
Pyramids.
secret.
Greer Reaver on the Sphinx. Okay. I just want to say, all right, cool. So this week we have a great show, we think, well, in our own opinion, because we're the hosts, we have a great show planned. And we're going to go ahead and jump into it. First, we're going to let Steve start with his topic for this week. What topic are you itching to get into?
I'm totally plaguing to get into it. It's the free-to-play, man. The free-to-play model's been on my brain since I got suckered into going into Neverwinter. When Neverwinter was going to be released, I swore up and down I wasn't going to play that goddamn game during beta. And the channels were full of TGC members, when they're playing. I know that Santir's big on it and his brother's big on it. And I don't know. I didn't want to do it. I just didn't want to do it. Well, of course I ended up doing it. And the whole concept of the free-to-play kind of got me wondering. And it turns out it's a brilliant business model. They can say, well, you pay a cheap, very low, very affordable price for the game, and then you can get in and play. And if you need certain things, this is where Neverwinter got me. I bet. I mean, I'm a fucking sucker, man. I'm a complete sucker. I bet I've got $150-$160 wrapped up in Neverwinter already.
I was about to say already?
Already.
That was quick. I mean, you just started playing, what, a week ago?
I should have just did the $200 thing like everybody else was doing, but I just blew, for Marvel.
That's right. That's
actually,
that was you. You did it first, Marvel. It wasn't me.
This is actually pretty awesome. This is sort of a continuation of our last time that we were talking. We should actually rename the show How It Is Godmocker is going to free-to-play himself out of house and home.
That's right.
It's pretty exciting.
Oh, that was gold last time. This is free-to-play.
Yes, but it's...
it's
outfits.
That's what I'm talking about. It's not outfits. Marvel, I'm covered on Marvel. $200 got me everything I wanted in Marvel. This is what this thing is doing, is that it's the business model is brilliant, because they throw things into the game that says, hey, there is a very slim chance, that you can get this awesome fucking whatever it is if you unlock this chest. Let's just say this chest. But to get this chest, the keys don't drop. The keys don't drop in game. You have to buy the keys. And you buy the keys with our currency called Zen. Oh, but you have to buy Zen from us with your freaking cash, right? So you stack these purple chests up in your inventory long enough, and suddenly you're in buying $10 here, $20 there, or in my case, $50 here, $50 there, that kind of thing. But that's just not it. That's one thing. Then they tempt you with the store of mounts and bags and companions and other little, resources and, usable items such as potions and shit like that. But that still isn't it. This is where never when it really gets you. They give you like 2 spaces in fucking in your bank inventory, and then allow you to go out and run all of these quests and dump a billion of these gems into your bags every time you come into town. You have to put them somewhere. And when you realize you're in your bank and you've only got a limited amount of space, and real conveniently in big bright letters at the bottom of your bank it says, "Hey, you can get more bank space. Just click this button." Zen, Bing, Cash, Bing, you're gone. Before I realize that I'm out of, I'm like, oh my god,
that's the same thing that happened to me in Guild Wars. I mean, and the thing is, I knew I wasn't going to play Guild Wars. I mean, steadily.
And you did it anyway, yeah.
And I still bought a bunch of freaking bag space and bank space because if a free-to-play game is going to get me, the biggest place it's going to get me initially is going to be storage space. It is at such a premium that you just, I don't know, you just can't.
You can't do it. You can't play the game without it. You would have to destroy items. You'd have to get rid of it.
You could, but the way that it also works out, if you're thinking about this whole free-to-play thing, is a lot of the free-to-play games also have currency caps, and I can't remember if Neverwinter does not, but they have currency caps, like DC Universe, EQ.
I didn't know about that.
I don't know if Rift does. There's a currency cap if you're not a subscriber, so you can only go up so much. So yet, even if you said screw it, if you want to say I'm going to be hardcore about this, I'm going to free-to-play this as it is, and you do go through and sell all the stuff. You don't craft, you just sell everything. Eventually, they still got you because now you're like, I can't.
And they do other things like instead of not only just a cap, but they're like, well, this guy gets 10 gold for doing this, and you get 2 because you didn't pay, so you don't get as much back in return, and you don't get as much experience back in return.
That is brilliant. I got to tell you, from a business standpoint, that is absolutely fucking brilliant against somebody like myself, anyway, a player like myself.
Well, see, the funny thing, I mean, going into are you talking about free to play versus subscription, or just free to play? You don't want to go
free to
the
play.
Subscription thing?
Nah, subscription. Everybody knows what it is. I mean, we went over it last week. Even on the subscription, when you're paying for the game, I'm going to buy gold anyway. Okay. Eventually.
I still think I'm a fan of subscription over free to play. I think free to play. The big thing is, and I sent. You probably didn't get the link. I probably didn't send it to you, but I was doing some research on looking at this, and there's a guy on Gamasutra website who has a number of articles on the whole free to play, and he talks about the threshold, and it's like a threshold of free to play or threshold of something, and it's how much money they look at this. The economists are looking at this saying, how much money is a player willing to spend in the game? And they're like, well, everyone says free to play, free to play, free to play. A lot of people who are targeted by these things are targeted by the free to play companies, and I don't mean targeted in a bad way, but I'm saying their economic model is such that they're going to spend more money. And the other thing that they go after is what we heard the first time I ever heard it was when we started playing Secret World, and the game director came out and talked about game locusts. People who come in, they rip through it, they get to the max level, they've done all the content, they stay for like 2 months, and then they're like, well, there's nothing to do, I'm out of here, and they go play the next game. Those people will spend a bunch of money in a lot of cases because they don't have time to farm and get a tailor and to make the bags and it's like, no, I can buy a greater bag of holding, 24 slots, cost me, what's 1,000 Zen? That's not a big deal. I'll spend 1,000 Zen without even thinking that 1,000 Zen is $10.
Yeah. So
you just bought 10 spots in your inventory, not across all characters, one character, $10 or whatever. And Guild Wars 2 does the same thing. By character, I think Star Wars is interesting because most of their free-to-play stuff, I think they just completely screwed up the whole model. But they do have the option in a lot of the stuff that they charge you for of letting you go. You want to buy it for the single character, it's going to be this much, or if you pay this much, which is like 2.5 times, I think, right around there, it's a discount and it'll be account-wide. So any character you ever create, and I did that on a couple of mine, and now every character I start over in Star Wars has 4 cargo bays. Because it's just, but look at all the bank space. When am I going to fill 4 cargo bays?
you're not telling me anything. I mean, the Star Wars. I mean, look what I did with that thing, man. I mean, I bought. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, my ship looks ridiculous. It's like a space
Yeah, you have everything on
pimp-mobile.
it.
I got everything in it.
I mean, I think the Star Wars model has actually evolved into like a more bearable version of itself. I mean, they got rid of some of the stupid stuff, and it's okay. I might be able to play it. I can't do the buying like, hey, I want to buy some war zones, or hey, I want to buy a raid night.
Yeah.
That's where they get me.
I don't know if you're gonna get that.
With free
well,
to play.
Star Wars
like
has
that's
that.
where they
Star
get.
Wars.
They can, yeah.
has
You
that.
can
They got
like buy
limit on
extra
PvP.
war zones for the week.
You can only do so
Otherwise,
many a
you
week.
can only do 5.
That's why I think it's. And that's why I think it's the worst one. The worst model
Yeah,
is
just
they're so limited because, well, you've got Rift coming out on June 12th, and they're going free to play, and they say they're not limiting. They're not going to limit anything.
Right.
in
Well, it
that
just
game.
seems like to me in Star Wars, it's like, I mean, and again, obviously, it takes man hours to create things, but it seems like in over any other game, there's so many people out there that are like, can't wait to get their hands on some cool looking Star Wars gear. Like, there's so many different Star Wars gear options that are awesome, and I feel like they could have focused more on coming up with some more of them and selling more of them as opposed to like selling, like, I don't know, selling the end game. I guess, it's still worth it to play if you can, buy a couple of the little things. The base free to play is still just, there's still too much that you can't, that's annoying. But, if you spend a few dollars and buy a couple things, you can make the game bearable. And it's certainly getting better, and they seem to be getting smarter. And it's showing. People are playing again a little bit.
Well, they say they've got their I think their subscription is still under 500K, but they've got more players. They said they're over 1 million, 1.7 maybe, free to play.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, that was an article.
But,
I can't remember where the hell I read it, but they were talking about. Yeah, I guess this is a failure with 1.7, with like the third biggest Western MMO currently.
Yeah.
Because it was supposed to be bigger than that.
Well, it
And
was
they
supposed
just
to be
had
bigger than
so
that
many
and
just
subscription.
Lumbers, blah, 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 blah.
Well, the differences on these business models too. I'll just give you a quick explanation on this. And the Neverwinter, the difference, the details in the models are exactly like I explained. They give you a lot of stuff. They give you a lot of drops. A lot of your chest will give you lots of things. At once, instead of just getting 1 or 2 items in your grab. I've opened up chests, man. It had a dozen items in it. Bam, into your bags. So when I was talking about bank space and bag space and the mounts and all that kind of stuff, and then you have to buy items to open other items that are dropping, that's a completely different model and sucked me in than say, Aeon. Aeon allowed you to get full access to the game, but the shit that they had for sale was hairpins, masks, a costume like you're wearing a bathing suit.
I'm
I mean,
okay
give me
with
a
that.
freaking break.
Well,
That didn't pull me
I'm
in at
okay with
all.
that. Well, I'm okay with that. That kind of the cosmetic stuff, the mounts. I'm actually okay with that. Even Neverwinter's what is it, the $40 mount? I mean, you know what? Put it out there, and if people are going to buy it, they'll buy it. And if they don't, guess what? Hey, we're having a sale this week, 50% off,
Yeah.
$20
Was
per
it
mount,
Rift
and then people will buy it.
or something else that had the fuzzy bunny slippers or whatever? I can't remember which game it was.
TSW,
Yeah.
I bought those.
But yeah,
Hell yeah,
dude,
those were awesome.
Secret World.
everybody bought the fuzzy bunny slippers. Was like the most
I did
popular
not.
item.
Hell
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I have no
Hell yeah.
metrics to back that up whatsoever. But everybody had them.
For
It was
some
really
reason,
insane.
I
So
don't get sucked into that shit. I don't get sucked into
I
that.
do. I do. I bought a lot of it, but a lot of the stuff came
I actually
because
get
I was a
sucked-
lifetime. Well, see, I mean, that's the other thing that comes into a lot of these games. Like Neverwinter doesn't have any. You get the $200 pack, the $60 pack, and a lot of games, same thing. Guild Wars, there's no subscription model. There's no purchasing lifetime where you get a continual benefit out of it. Secret World, which went free to play, and they've done it with Age of Conan. Funcom has done it. They reward you if you bought the lifetime. You still get stuff. I get points in Secret World every single month, whether there's content or not. They give me 10,000 or 1,000 points, whatever the hell it is. I get an amount that would support me buying downloadable content if they had it every month. So if I don't use it,
yeah.
I still get to keep it, and I
thought
go
it was-
in and buy Then I go buy clothes or buy
Don't-
whatever outfits. I bought the
Yeah, I was
Indiana
gonna say,
Jones
don't you
jacket.
pretty much just like you go at the beginning of each month and you like grab like 10 outfits, right? And then you
Yeah, something like
change
that.
after each quest, and then you like
Yeah.
fraps it, and you're like, look at my wardrobe. You like pop into a closet,
right,
switch
that's
out
right.
pants.
Fact.
That's right.
Fact.
Yeah.
It's the new
this guy's got
video I'm
every
working
outfit.
on. Yeah.
It's amazing. You should
So
see.
I don't. I'm
the
not even
style.
close now. They've added so much stuff. Oh, here's something
Don't
that,
buy
that
the
gets
hype.
me along. The thing that does bug me, or is bugging me currently with Perfect World games, and I've recently started playing Star Trek Online. Expansion came out this week, Legacy of Romulus. And so it brought me back in. Now, I was a subscriber for a long time, or for the first year, probably for the first year or two. I think I've got 400-day membership, whatever, so a year that I subscribed to it. They added in after I left, and I came back and subscribed for a while. The same thing you see in Neverwinter, those drop boxes. And those drop boxes cost, and it's $1.25 to open that drop box for a chance at some loot. In Neverwinter,
yeah.
it's the Nightmare Steed. In Star Trek, it's ships. You can get ships that you can only get out of those boxes in there. Yeah,
I
starships.
saw some post about that somewhere saying it's a ship in a box.
Yeah.
Like, oh, cool.
Well,
that's cool.
But get this.
Whatever.
Now this week I've been playing a lot of DC Universe Online, and I bought the SOE All Access Pass so I could play EverQuest and DCUO and a bunch of other stuff because I don't like being limited. Right, that's the other thing about free to play to me. I don't like being limited.
That's what I did with Marvel.
Get this. In SOE, at least in DCUO, they have those drop boxes as well. If you are a subscriber, you don't need a key to open them.
See, there's a
That's-
niche. That is a niche.
I think
I
that's
agree
awesome.
with that.
I've opened
Right.
4 of these things that I would have had to have paid $1 probably
Well,
to
and
unlock.
Guild Wars has them too, right? Like you get those Black Lion chest
Oh, I wouldn't
things,
know.
and you can
Yeah.
buy. I mean, you can get the stuff occasionally to open them, or you can buy something to open them from the.
Yeah, I think Guild
cash
Wars
shop.
system. Guild Wars is actually a pretty good system in how you can work into their gem conversion or whatever the hell over to get in to do that. So
Well, let me touch on some of the games that I found out that or I did a look up, and you guys can look these up once I go over them. But I picked 10 that either are free to play and that are coming, or currently out, or the business model is unknown, but is talked about that it is going free to play. Of course, you got EverQuest Next, which is supposed to be big sandbox for EverQuest, which I think they might be able to pull it off, but I'm not quite sure how they're going to do their business model, because I think once everybody got a big glimpse of Neverwinter, everyone I think is probably going to follow at least some aspects of the way Neverwinter does its shit. Like I said, bag space, storage space in your bank, mounts, companions, that kind of shit. Then of course Neverwinter, but there was a few that I thought, man, looked pretty awesome, man. There is one out there called Otherland. And the trailer for Otherland, man, looks like some sort of wicked cross between medieval fantasy meets punk rock, just
Man, hardcore teenage angst. Yeah.
no
awesome.
joke. It
That's what
really,
we need. We need more of
but
that.
the graphics looked like it was involved. But there was a little aspect of this that I never saw coming, was that, I know it's going to blow your mind, your typical, or what you want your keys, especially anybody who's a sandbox fan, like if Frank is listening to this, every action in that game defines everything, including your gender. Your character,
you can change your gender.
your character is basically like an it. And then everything you do, all the reactions that you have, the way you answer questions, the way you handle situations, is going to define what your character turns into. It's no joke.
So what we want to do is we want to be the first podcast vidcast to come up with a guide on how to create your it and turn your it into Leisure Suit Larry.
Or
At
a female,
some
or a
point-
hooker.
At
No,
some
for a
point,
hooker, yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
this digressed into some sort of like how to grow your penis. Like,
I don't know.
Did
If
Did
you
I
look,
say that? I didn't say
if-
that.
like-
How, the it,
if you watch
until you
the
define your
trailers,
it.
you sick bitches, just watch the trailer for Otherland is what it's called. It's a
I
pretty
killed
good
somebody
trailer.
with a sword and gained an inch.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to go punch this other guy in the face,
Yeah,
and it's working
get
out a
a
lot
ball.
better.
Yeah. Well, another one is Fantasy Star Online 2, and it's exactly what anybody who hears a name like that is. It looks just like Final Fantasy, only MMO, and I wanted to punch my screen when I saw it. But I think that's free to play as well. Then you got WildStar, and I think Mr. Inactive himself.
List? The list of 5 you sort of like, and that one you want to punch in the throat?
It was the ones that I got the information off of, the trailers. Anyway.
Okay.
Some of them are actually there's a couple in here that we got WildStar as well, and we got a member that's in the beta right now, and
we got a couple actually.
I hope he gets a giant boil on his ass for not getting me into the beta. But then again, we've got a game called Bless, BLESS.
I heard about that last year.
The trailer is stunning. It's absolutely stunning.
Is it Terra style?
It is a Terra clone with images to the teeth. I mean, it looks like it come off of a Terra dev. It really does. And it's very beautiful. Of course, there's going to be free to play, so I can almost imagine that it's going to pick up where Terra left off and probably go a little bit more in depth.
Well, then Terra's free to play they did very well on their conversion. Of all the ones I've seen convert over, Terra has done did a great job.
I'm convinced that the pay business model was temporary on purpose. I think they did that on purpose. Yeah. Then we come to my two. These next two are ones that I'm really, really actually looking forward to. Lineage Eternal. Scriv knows about this one. This is.
You're gonna cause me to look into that one because I never played Lineage any Lineage ever.
It's nothing like Lineage. Actually, it's just coming from Korea, of course, but it's kind of like a D3 model. But the trailer that's out is 15 minutes long, and you'll watch the whole thing. Yeah, it's called Lineage Eternal: Twilight Resistance. But that's actually one of my personal faves. I can't tell you more about it because the video itself will blow you away.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up.
One of the other ones, man, that I think is going to be incredibly interesting, and I know I'm going to try it. It's called Dragon's Prophet. Now, these are from the Runes of Magic guys, man, and all it's about is that you will get and rear and raise your own dragons.
Are you in the beta? Have you tried the beta on that?
If I was in the beta, I wouldn't tell you guys shit. I wouldn't tell you I was in that beta. No, I'd tell you.
Dragon's Prophet, I'm in the beta.
You're in the Dragon Prophet beta?
Dude, I posted it in the forums how to do it. I'm like, hey, this website's giving away... I know, you never do. They're giving away 5,000 beta keys, and I got in, Santier got in, a bunch of people got in.
Well, fuck you both. I won.
Well,
It's all about the dragons, and it's free, so fuck you both. But anyway, then you got Blade and Soul, which God knows when that damn thing's going to come out.
Yeah.
But the business model's not been mentioned about Blade and Soul.
Do you know if Blade and Soul's still #1 in Korea?
Yeah, it is huge in Korea right now.
Because I knew it took Terra down.
Yeah, it is huge. There are millions of players down there playing it. No joke. And just visit Stepperoo, man. Stepperoo is he's huge on that stuff. He's big on Blade and Soul. Okay. And then, of course, the last one is the one that Dimos posted, the Black Desert online. Now, I watched it, and it looks okay. I mean, it's a little above the okay for me, but it's still got, to me, it's got some collision graphic type issues with me. It did not have a smooth, it wasn't smooth moving. It didn't have the action that was silky smooth, plus some of the character models, it looked like you had a beautiful face with like some sort of digital hat of hair setting on its head. There wasn't a clean to it. It was, and then plus when you watch the battles, a lot of the collisions were fucked up. You'd see shoulders going into shoulders, or arms going through legs, that kind of thing. That kind of shit pisses me off. So
yeah.
Anyway, those are your free to plays, and I suggest that you look them up and get excited about them, because I'm sure that I'll be bringing them up again at a later date.
It really would have been cool for this whole segment had you given me some notice, and then I could have done a screen listing them.
Okay.
Pause the video on you. I appreciate that. Yeah. So.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Hey, if you really need it, I think
go back and replay it.
I think those guys we appreciate watching over at Game Breaker. I'll just give them an unnecessary plug on our show. Just launched a new, whole new site that's all about free-to-play games.
Oh, that's true.
Sweet.
I saw that. Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into my topic. We're gonna end with Greer's topic. So I'm gonna jump into my topic, and it's something that's been it's bugged me for years. And this is back, like I said, I started my first MMO where I was actually interacting with a lot of people, getting into guilds and other stuff. And I think they were pretty good on it. Was Sony Online. I did Star Wars Galaxies. Now, the big thing that bugs me is naming your character, coming up with your unique name of who you're going to be across games. The way I look at this, and you see me, I am Scrivian or Scrivia, male or female, in every single game we play. Right? And I look on WoW Armory, and I'm the only one. And there's something that came to me. I got this back in the 80s when I was playing Dungeons & Dragons. I came up with my name. I use it in every single game. My Xbox tag is Scriv, or Scribe, or whatever. And so I did that. I picked it. I got a unique name. I made it up. It was cool. It was awesome. I've seen people who say, I ask them about their names. I'm like, where'd you get that name? My first game was Age of Conan, and I hit randomize. And it gave me the name, and I liked it. I thought it was, I randomized till I got the one I liked. I liked it. It was cool, and I've used it in every game since then.
I have never done that, ever.
No, I haven't either. But I'm saying some people, maybe they're not as creative.
It's a good way to get like a nice fantasy name if you don't know,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, if you're not into that kind of thing. What bugs me is going into WoW and going into the battleground and seeing rogue, stabby, pew pew.
or 9-letter I's in a row, you know.
Yeah, I am Legolas.
Yeah, I block those people. I swear to
yes,
God,
you are
I do.
an ass. All the strange characters in there. I'm gonna because I can't get Darth Vader. I'm Darth Vader, or whatever.
Or they put 2 D's.
Vaaddeer. Vadir.
Yeah.
Come on, people.
Now, I've got an input on this. Now, believe it or not, in Lineage 2, during the PvP, what you could do is you could set macros with / target space and then the name.
Mm-hmm.
So we had, if you opened up our macro list, I mean, it would be absolutely packed, and it would be full of dudes' names who you would be looking for on a daily basis. And you would get into a certain area, and all you do is just hit that hotkey saying target, looking at the top of your screen up there, you know, waiting for their name to show up. You know, so what you would do is that you would create these jacked up names. I think a lot of this at least this is what my impression was back then we would create jacked up names so that you wouldn't be able to know what it was right off the bat because you couldn't copy and paste. So it's a lot of trial and error. It was a way to eliminate auto targeting through macro.
But a lot of the games nowadays don't really. I mean, they don't have that. It's just I don't know. They're
just kids. That's the only explanation I have.
Yeah, I'm Raphael Mutant Ninja Turtle. I'm like, really? Come on.
Well, look at Neverwinter. They allow you to give.
Holy crap!
They allow you surnames and stuff too.
Yeah, well, a lot of games, or not anymore. But I think initially, Galaxies they would go through and make you change your name if it wasn't like keeping.
Oh, and you would have the title.
What do you think on that? I mean, do you think players nowadays would be? I mean, what if you went into Neverwinter and they said, no, your name needs to be...
They did.
Something of a...
they did.
It has to be in the genre.
They blocked
So if you put Vader, and when we have a guy in Tempest whose name is Vader, so I'm not targeting you, Vader, but... Yeah, that just hit me. I'm like, oh, crap. But he's not going to watch podcasts anyways.
Pre-show, like, I'm going to get Vader so bad.
Yeah. But I mean, so it's like, okay, I'm going into the Dungeons & Dragons. I'm going into Minzbarons, and I'm going to fight the Drow. Now let me go in here. I'm going to take a partner with me. Who am I taking? I'm taking Vader. Okay. Where's Luke and Leia and Han? And let's just go do this thing, I guess.
Are you talking about what would you say if you had somebody had a jacked up name and...
No, I mean, no. I've done it because I've pugged in almost every game, done instances, and you get in there and you sit there looking. I'm like, yeah.
Well, you would give them a name, like somebody that had jacked up letters, and it would look familiar to a word. You call them like Sad Face, even though it wasn't Sad Face, if you remember that name.
So, but I'm just saying, please, come on, be creative. I mean, if anything, if you like a name, do something. I've done this. We did this on Tempest in Aeon. I'm like, okay, Tempest is taken. Tempest Fury. Tempest Righteous. All the Tempest one. I said, okay, fine. We're going to do Tempest in Sanskrit. And I went and looked it up, and boom, there you go. Take your cool saying, stabby rogue, and translate it into Chinese and then phonetically spell it out, and no one knows. It's like, oh wow, that's a cool name. What is that? Well, it probably sounds stupid, but
at the end of the show, Scribbin will be linking the email where you can give him your feedback about ruining the fun of naming your character.
Yeah, okay. I'm not getting into this one.
Bastards.
I just want the name to be in. It really.
I mean, I have like
a
name that I have carried through many games, but I mean, if you look at my alts, all I did was just take the first 4 letters of my name and try to fit it in all sorts of stupid places. I mean, I have a warlock named Greer. Does that not bother you? I feel like you're gonna boot my tune from the guild now.
No, because that's a creative use of it. I'm saying that's not bad. I'm saying I'm looking at stuff like, oh god, come on, I stab you. Really? That's your name?
I just crit my pants.
In the whole, and I'm not an RPer, but still, in the whole RP universe, your orc parent raised you and said, your name will be I stab you.
Honestly,
because that's what I want to do to you every day, you little shit.
The best... my favorite part about this topic is every time this topic ever comes up, I get to talk about my favorite name that I've ever seen in any game. And it wasn't an MMO, admittedly, but it was in Counter-Strike way back in the day. And the guy's name was Balls Deep in Your Dad. And I apparently was a child back then, but it's the greatest name that I've ever heard somebody add. Okay. Every time you just see the screen light up, killed by Balls Deep in Your Dad. Kills by Balls Deep in Your Dad.
I'm not even going to address console gaming at all. Now, when we get Isaac on, Isaac's going to be on in the next week or two. I think it's going to be 2 weeks. Isaac's going to be joining us, our 4th host. And we can talk some console naming. He's G Max X. He's in Vegas right now, so he doesn't care what I say.
Oh.
But
he's out there representing Brooklyn. He says I gave him some shit earlier about, but you fucking hate Brooklyn. What do you represent Brooklyn for? You fucking hate Brooklyn. Anyway.
So, but that's what I'm gonna say. All right. The other thing is one more thing on naming. Besides, be creative. If you can't, change it into another language. And do something. There are other ways of doing this. I bet there's an app out there to give you a fantasy name if you really need that.
Oh man, tons of them.
Here's the other thing: if you see somebody with a cool name, don't copy it in another game. Laugh, congratulate them, cool name. Don't take their name in another game if the dude came up.
Oh, I thought you were calling Laugh out. I thought you were
in
calling
another game.
No, I'm not. No.
I think it's even better.
Cool. Laughing's awesome. I like that name.
Forget another game. People do it in the same game. They're like, your name is Laughsalooza. Well, and they're like, I'm Laughsaleza. How cool am I?
I always kick at those, man.
Harper's Boobs.
Harper's Boobs.
Harper's Boobs, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, well, it's the other thing that happens when you get people. We talked about some of the hosts and some of the other ones. The convert to raid guys who are like, hey, we're transferring surveys, blah blah blah, and they go to another server and somebody's got their name. Why? Because they like their name. It was cool. Like, cool. I listened to that podcast. I like their name. No one's got it on my server. I took it. Don't do that to somebody. Really, don't be a douche. And that's all I have to say about naming. Career.
Anybody who does anything with their name a lot, it kind of becomes your name. You want it to be attached to you.
Yeah.
You
want your gaming persona.
I want Google to someday pop up and be like, do you mean you want to be known as Plus Greer Reaver from now on? But I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but see, what'll happen...
Get on it, Google.
Like when I did the Rift thing and started the Godmocker thing, I've been Godmocker for, years now. If I suddenly got into, say I get into WildStar and some motherfucker's got Godmocker... I'm going to be pissed off. I mean, that's going to piss me off.
Well, it's going to vaguely depend. I got to tell you, if we pick up another guy named Godmocker, if he's good, we might just
you can have
put you in a bag and be like, look, it's Godmocker. He changed.
Have it.
It's the same Godmocker.
You can have it.
So wait, is it the other Godmocker that's in the top 100?
No, that's Blade Mocker. See, I end up using the whole Mocker.
Blade Mocker.
Okay.
Yeah. Nomenclature. I put like War Mocker or Blade Mocker.
But both of you guys do that. I don't have an issue. I mean, I've got like 20 different names I use because I just stole all the names of all my buddies we play D&D with because I know they're all serious professionals now and they don't game.
I mean, I've done that. Occasional stuff like my Neverwinter tune. I wanted to make a rogue that was all assassin-y, so I just went to Google and looked up famous female assassin
there you go.
and
you
grabbed
can-
one
okay.
and put it for that. But I mean, I don't do
There
that
you go.
most of the time.
Well, I stole a friend's name, Warduke, Warduke Warrior. I had in Rift. That was stolen from the guild leader of the very first guild I joined during Open Beta and Lineage 2. The leader's name was Warduke, and I ran into his ass not a couple years back and come right out and told him, I said, by the way, dude, I've been stealing I've been stealing Warduke, the name Warduke, for years. He didn't, I mean, I don't think that dude gave a shit, but, you know, if someone come up to me, hey, man, I've been using Godmocker, I'd be like, hey, I'd like to congratulate you. Can you meet me someplace right now? That'd be great. It'd be great.
Yeah, we found the body. It was in a field, and the only thing on it said Godmocker. We think it was an atheist attack on whatever.
And the word mine was carved in his
Husker's
ass.
hat.
Mine.
Stab.
All right.
Well, cool. I guess
Wayne,
that
what do
means
we
I
got
get
tonight?
to talk now, right?
Yeah, you get
So,
to finish. We got to finish on a high note now, right? Even higher.
Right. Woo! I'm excited. Important. Okay. So, yeah, the thing I want to talk about this week is dynamic events. Now that we're, many months removed from Guild Wars 2 launch, and there's, seriously 4, 5, 6 games now that are attempting this dynamic event thing, and most recently, I don't know if you guys checked out this 5.3 patch in World of Warcraft, but they have a very modest attempt at a dynamic event thing, and they don't call it a dynamic event. They say it is more dynamic than normal questing, which I think is a really good way to put it. But my question is, my first question is, what do you guys think of dynamic events? Are they amazing? Is it the freaking coolest thing you ever did? Or are they kind of just meh? I mean, what do you guys think? I know we've played, Terra had the Nexuses that were sort of dynamic, and Guild Wars has a plethora of dynamic events, and the way it was billed, it was, it's going to change the world, and they're going to destroy everything. And I didn't play all the way through, but I do remember the world being destroyed was essentially like, okay, you didn't stop this, so now there's 100 wind elementals standing here in this city, and then you kill them, and then it kind of goes back to the way it was. My question is, have you been blown away by them as a whole? Do you like it? Is it the thing that we should do?
Maka, do you want to start on this? Because I'm going to go off.
Well, yeah, let me get mine in before you ran yourself out of this. I'd have to say my first experience with anything like that was, I'm trying to think of the game where you would walk into, you'd be in a zone, but you'd walk into a specific area and suddenly the quest would pop up, and it was Warhammer.
Yep, Warhammer was one of the ones that was listed as one of the first games to really get into.
And that was my first taste of it. And the only thing I can say about it is that it took a little bit of getting used to realize that even though I'm in an MMO and I'm playing with lots and lots of other people, if I'm questing or if I'm looking for something, I want you to get the fuck out of my zone. I don't care who you are. I understand it's an MMO and you're supposed to have people around, but if I'm looking for shit or mats or resources or nodes or anything like that, get the fuck out of my zone. That's why I love the idea of being able to drop down and change instances, and go to, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I'll go into an instance that's got the least amount of people in it. If there's one dude in it, man, I'll jump into that one, then everything's mine. So the whole thing of the dynamic events, you had to get used to the idea that you're going to have a lot of people joining in with you. And I think it also, you might want to throw in as a side note on that, this automatic party and shit that seems to be taking place, defaulting to auto partying, which I don't like that shit. I know they give you the option of being able to say, hey, turn that off if you want, but don't fucking default it on my shit. And I think I wanted to add that to the whole dynamic event. But actually, outside of that, I don't really have much memory of any other dynamic events in games that I've been playing outside of that Warhammer thing. Unless you bring them up and remind me.
Well, see, yeah, the things that, I remember, and since Griff's got a lot playing, the things I remember, the different riff stuff that was hey, where, it pops up and whatever. And then obviously I did some of the Guild Wars events and some of them where there was in low-level zones, giant, a chain that wasn't necessarily dynamic, but it was a chain that led to a giant monster, which is very cool at a low level. The difficulty was, it was always mass. It's kind of like world bosses all the time. But some of them are really cool. But like, go ahead, Script. Talk before I go on to the next thing. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I think one of the things you brought up is one of the ones that, well, Rift. Rift itself.
Yeah,
was
I forgot
cool.
about Rift.
When we were playing Rift, that was our guild Tempest, our first MMO together. That's where we formed Tempest. And I think I like the idea that you're in this zone, and they had a great background, or Rift still has a great background as to why these rifts open between all the different planes. And so that was good. Now the thing is, when they did what they were supposed to do back in the beginning, what happened? Players complained. Why? Because the rift mobs took over all the questing areas. So guess what? You can't turn your quest in because 3 or 4 squads of mobs, and sometimes when it glitched, 50 squads of mobs are sitting on the main quest hub, and all your NPCs are dead.
When the death rift would open up right on top of it.
And you're standing there by yourself, and I'm like a cleric, and I'm like, how the hell am I going to get this done?
You're not.
But see, that was something that they had they had a balancing issue with that at the beginning with world, the major world rift attacks where an entire zone was under attack.
Yeah.
It didn't scale to how many people were in the zone. So if there's 10 people running around and 80 rifts open up, you're kind of you're just. And that was why they had to adjust that, because that's what was happening. You'd get, all right, cool, I'm going to try to level. And bam.
Oh, wait, there's 500 mobs coming over the hill. I think I should probably run now.
Hey, Guardians, please don't kill us. We're going to come over and level in your zone. Ours has been invaded.
Yeah, don't mind us.
There's only 4 of us on this shard. Yeah, okay. So now, the thing is, though, if done correctly, I think I'm okay with that. With again, it gets into, you have to know the game you're getting into, and you have to agree to the rules you're getting in there to play, right? When you join into the game, you have to agree to those rules. It's the same thing as we talked about. There's a group of us who are looking to play hardcore repopulation, and people are like, "Oh, I'm never going to do that." Or when we were doing Terra, I'm never going to go. Let's go play on a PvP server. Oh, I'm never going to do that. You're right. You agree to the rules or you don't. And you go into it. So I think with the dynamic events, the one that bugs me the most is Guild Wars 2. And I know we have lots of friends who play Guild Wars 2.
I never did any of those.
Those are not dynamic events. I'm telling you. How many times the Centaur is going to take over the same freaking village? All right?
See, yeah.
And then they said, well, it happens even when players aren't there. Well, yeah, I understand that. And 2 hours later, when I go back there, the human NPCs have pushed them all back there. Why do I need to get involved? I just got to wait 2 hours, and the NPCs will push them back out or not, whatever. And that's not this. That we have dynamic world bosses. They come in, these big dragons, and they land. I'm like, they're on a timer. There's a website devoted to it. It's going to tell you 30 minutes until so-and-so lands. It's like, okay, that's not dynamic. That's a scheduled event.
That's an event, yeah.
Yeah. Rift.
So, I'm glad we got there. I'm glad we got there, because that was actually the second part of this question is, are they truly dynamic or just a glorified quest?
I don't know that. I don't know that any of the engines can handle it. I don't know that, one, I don't know that the engines can handle it, and 2, I think you would almost have to create a specific server or understand that you're going to be a niche game, because there are players who just won't want to do it. They won't want to deal with it. It might be, again, Repopulation's hardcore server may be like that. What if there is an event where one faction is invading the other faction, and you know what? If you don't stop them in this little village, they're going to reinforce, and they're moving on to the next village. That's just what they're going to do. And I'm sorry, I'm sorry you had to turn a quest in 4 cities deep into the defensive lines now, but I guess you should have rallied some people to push them back out of here when they weren't up to 1,000 people. When they were down at 20 coming in.
That would be something where they would have to do a very strong job of maintaining balance and server balance. Because, if it was ever that hardcore, you can't just be like, oh, well, one team has 10 times as many people, so don't even level a tune on the other side because you can't do anything.
Let's step into a game where the players do that. PlanetSide 2.
Like a full win.
NPCs.
Never played it.
PlanetSide 2 has three continents?
Yep.
Or 3 planets? 3 continents, or whatever, 3 continents, 3 zones. Basically, you can go in. It's straight up PvP. The whole game's PvP, first person shooter MMO. You know what? If a side overwhelms the other two, they can push you out of every single territory in that entire zone except for your headquarters, and they can just basically block you in. And then you just got to go to one of the other areas and hope that they're not going to do the same
Or
thing.
Or log out is most likely.
Or log out.
Or log
now
out.
the thing is they were smart. It's a 3-faction game, and so there are 3 continents. And usually when we were back when it came out, we were playing it. We were there and go, oh, I'm not going to that one. Hell, we've only got 5% of the territory. We're getting our ass kicked by the Vanu. Hey, this one looks like it's pretty good. Now we never went to the one where we were winning everything because that's boring. We went to the one that was kind of contested, where we're like, there's a good fight going on, and that was more fun. But I mean, it have to be that same kind of thing. It's that the players can bring the dynamic part of this in there. I think it's hard for a game to do it. Maybe 10 years from now, we'll have MMOs that are dynamic, that are designed of, what happened if a new faction, the demons in World of Warcraft. What if the 2 expansions from now they say, oh, the demons are invading Azeroth and you must stop them. And on this server, they stopped them. And awesome, it's cool. Now you're in a never-ending battle in Northern Kalimdor. But on this server, whoa, it's Alliance heavy. Well, guess what? You lost Kalimdor. It's
nice.
All demon controlled now. It's like, oh crap.
Now
we have to keep them off of the Eastern Kingdoms.
That's what I mean. What level of dynamic is? I think that's what it is. Like, the word dynamic is getting used a lot, and what is it? I mean, is it just quests that? I mean, I know a lot of the Guild Wars 2 stuff is, you can get it on a timer, but, not everybody's staring at those timers. The major events they are, because they're major events and you want to farm them.
Good loot.
But in general, is dynamic just, it appears, and you didn't necessarily know it was going to appear? Yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
the same event you did 37 times, but you didn't know it that second it was going to pop up? Is that what they mean by dynamic? I think...
it has a good chance of doing that, depending on what they do with WildStar, but they've talked about their bosses having a pool of abilities. What if there is, what if their world bosses do roam around? Think Deathwing, when Deathwing was swooping through during Cataclysm, and you just happened to be in the zone, he came through and trashed it. What if he stopped and landed and said, come at me, let's go. World boss fight right here, right now, summon your friends, and you're like, okay, let's go get Deathwing, and you summon 40, a couple of raids of 40 people, and you go at him, and you go, oh, I've never seen that ability before.
Right.
And then you get him down low, 5%, and he says, here, I'm going to, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He does something, rips the earth, and, so your treasure's in the earth, and he gets away. The thing is, with a world boss kind of dynamic thing, I think the boss has got to escape. Otherwise, it's not believable.
Right.
Maybe escape at different levels. Oh,
but so
50%
there's a question, too, though. Like, man, you kind of, lost me on my thought. But yeah, it's the same thing. Like I got you. I'm back.
You back? Hello, welcome back.
Well, I'll put you on full screen then.
All right, good to go. Is that going to be like where it's going to be, okay, the game wants to have different abilities for each boss. So does every boss have 30 abilities and he just uses different ones depending on which time you fight him? Because still at some point you're going to learn all 30. Or is it going to be 10 bosses and they all can each use each other's abilities? And then it's kind of like 10 of the same boss. They just look different and you never know what ability they're going to use. I mean, I think that the word dynamic for me, I think some of the best dynamic content that Guild Wars has is the stuff that is just the fact that there's new content, and when they bring out new content, sometimes they they'll destroy this or change this area, and that's probably as dynamic as it's going to get for a little while.
The Secret World, killing off quest givers,
killing off NPC, that's dynamic
for
content.
A year. We killed them off because it's part of the story.
And that's what I mean, what if it's you're just in the game and one day you get an email in your message and it's like, hey, we got intelligence that this big bad fucker is going to be here at 4 o'clock-ish tomorrow, so if you want to get a chance to kill this big bad fucker, show up. And, I know they crash servers doing stuff like that, but they should be able to figure out a way to do that. Where it's that's too bad you had to work that day. There's going to be more. We're not going to do it one time instead of
Marker.
once every 6 years, have that shit happen every now and then. So you're like,
Marker,
oh,
did you ever see any of the
amazing! I got to log on.
Well, that you just reminded me of something. You're at work sometimes. Maka, remember in Galaxies? I don't know if you ever saw it. The developer run events. Were you ever in on any of those?
I've only been a part of one of those.
I think this is a way you can do it. And SOE did. I think they did a very good job in Galaxies because I witnessed a few of them. I was on Naboo. You remember Episode 1 or Phantom Menace, all that stuff. I was on Naboo running missions when I hear, holy crap, in the main capital city, there's a droid invasion. I'm like, what? And of course, we lagged. Everyone lagged. But it was the Trade Federation freaking, because the game took place after A New Hope. So the Trade Federation, all that stuff still exists. It's only like 30 years old. And we were in the city, and the droid army freaking invaded the city. And it was a dev-run event. They knew exactly what they were going to do. And they were pushing and spawning mobs based on how many people were there. And the mobs were trying to get to the Queen's throne room from the other side of the freaking city, and they just mowed through there. And
I was going to say, I bet they cut a path.
Players, yeah, they did, but the thing is, they slowed down, and then the players eventually stopped it because everyone's in every chat channel. Oh my God, you got to see this! We've never seen this! Blah! And it didn't. Right. It very rarely happened. I saw Vader conduct an Imperial invasion on Corellia in Coronet City.
Yeah,
boom! Imperial shuttles start landing. But again,
that's amazing stuff.
Run events. That's player. It's not. It's a person driving it. Yeah. I think maybe that's the way to do it. Maybe the companies that want to do dynamic events have, you create this or give the devs a toolbox of a dynamic event toolbox, and say, okay, at least once a week, we're going to do something, and we're going to hit. Okay, we're going to do it at 7 o'clock in the morning so that the Aussies get a good dynamic event for the players that are on at that time. Or we're going to do it. The thing is, it's only by server unless you've got devs to do it on all of them.
Yeah, and it was one of the things that people were pissed. One of the many things that people were pissed off about with the launch of Mr. Panteria and WoW was that for the launch of Wrath, there was like, bam, look, we added this extra boss into Karazhan you can kill for a couple weeks. Bam. Now we have the Scourge event, and it was mundane after a couple days, but it was still super cool. Yeah. Scourge just running around the city, biting people, then you're a zombie. And then before Cataclysm, they even had just those random fire elemental invasions. And they weren't super dynamic, but like for a week out of nowhere, that shit's cool. You know what I mean? And that's it.
Those are what unannounced. It's
I agree on the unannounced part. The only part of it, everything that I liked is the spontaneous stuff of it. That, like I said, the only one I ever was a part of was open beta. It was a dev thing, but they didn't tell anybody. What happened is a dev.
What game?
It was Lineage 2 open beta, and it was on the starter island where everybody started. And, I mean, the island was absolutely packed full of players. I mean, there were thousands of players on there. And you start seeing, which none of us had seen before, you started seeing in World Chat, and it was a dev actually telling me, says, I don't see nothing but a bunch of wimps on this island, and it would be in cap letters, and come get me, come and find me. And he was standing on the beach, and the dude must have been 50 feet tall, and he was dressed in ridiculously awesome armor and shit like that. And he's talking to everybody like the dev was controlling this dude. Thousands of players are just all stuck around this dude, firing at him at all. It's not doing anything to him. He's like, you guys all suck. And then he would jump in the air and fly across to the other side of the island. I mean, what that did, the response that got is that it got everybody to stop doing what they were currently doing and go to a specific area to see what this guy was going to do. They never did anything like that.
I saw the dev in Rift do that. He jumped into an area and he had people following. He goes, okay, follow me. We're going to go do this dynamic event. We're going to test it out. And I think it was on the live server. And so everyone's following around. He goes, oh, this isn't right. And he turned around and turned everyone into sheep.
Nice.
Every character was a sheep.
That's cool.
And then
I like that.
And then a couple of us had the thing that makes you like twice as big, the astral, whatever the hell the ascended ability, and you did that. And now you're like huge sheep running through. I mean, it was cool. I think
hilarious.
I think,
and what makes me think of when things like that happen? I bet these dudes are sitting at the servers and they're all like, They're like,
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna fuck this shit up tonight. Let's do some crazy shit. You know,
I
poof,
think
turn
basically
everybody
what it
into
comes
sheep.
down to, I think the best way to pull off dynamic events now is a dev team that just does it in the game, and it's cool because you can run the same event like every day for 2 weeks if you've got that many servers, and just run it on different times on different servers. And that way, everyone gets, every server gets a shot at it at some whatever, and then it's one and done or saved for another time during the year, whatever. So they're not the same thing over and over and over. The other thing is, don't do it if your game servers can't handle it. Like if you try to do it in Star Trek or Neverwinter right now, you'd crash.
Remember when Terra tried that shit? Remember when Terra tried that?
We were like,
it crashed.
It was a PowerPoint event. It was a PowerPoint
Nexus
event.
is.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna move towards.
Well,
the boss.
no, I
Click.
mean right before it went live, they had all these mobs, man, big ass mobs invade.
it was a band
yeah,
invasion.
I remember.
It crashed everybody, man. I couldn't even see the mobs.
The Nexuses, you could go to the Nexus and like you would see you hitting it, but you knew there was 300 people there. But you were like, it's me.
It's me.
Why am I fighting this by myself? But it's not hitting me. I don't understand. Yeah, there's a few games that it's a great idea, but you really shouldn't overstretch yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
But I do have, all right, so I have 2 more quick questions. I want you guys to answer them quickly, just to get through the rest of this topic. Dynamic events are fad or future? Just go quick. What's the first thing that comes to your head?
Future.
Bad, you think?
Bad.
Is it like fad or future, and like do you think it's just if they continue to improve them, that this is the way questing needs to go? They just need to keep coming up. I mean, is that, or do you think it'll be like, okay, we've seen it, and now we might as well just go back? Because questing needs an overhaul. Do we agree?
If you keep them spontaneous and not planned, dev events. I don't like using the dynamic thing, but I guess but if a dev just says, you know what, I'm just going to log in, I'm going to create a big bunch of mobs, and I'm just going to talk shit to everybody to see if I can get them to come to me. That's different. To me, that's dynamic.
Yeah, spawn Anixia in Stormwind and let her go.
There you
Right.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Just do it.
everybody
Just
out.
jump in and go, boom, and let's see what happens.
The other
And you know
thing
what?
I
The
have
newbies
is
get
just,
killed. You know
I'm
what? They won't forget it. It'll be like, oh my god, I just joined this game.
Yeah.
I was in Stormwind and I got just destroyed by this dragon.
Like
and
the
then all
plague
the 60s
thing.
or all the 90s showed up and killed her, and it was awesome battle through the streets.
Can you imagine that dragon being dropped in a minute?
I mean, it'd be like, wow, what the hell happened there? Nefarian rips his way into Ironforge. Whoa, what the hell?
That would be pretty awesome.
I mean, they didn't have to do anything at that point. They just got to spawn him.
You got to
Right, in the
tranquilize.
city.
Just see what happens. Yeah, let him kill some people,
Just
and then
have-
fly off. Just
Drew, you're gonna have to tranquilize his ass, man. Just pull the
Me?
trigger.
I know.
Pull the
Okay,
fucking
no,
trigger.
and then the
Sorry.
last thing is best and worst, best and worst dynamic events you guys did so far.
Oh fuck! The only thing I knew of was Rift, man. And I'm one of those dudes that logged into Rift one morning with a death invasion and being like probably the only dude in the entire zone. So yeah, I'm not a fan.
Too. And
Yeah, I'll go
No
with the
best.
Droid Invasion. Droid Invasion Galaxies for me.
Droid Invasion was your best.
Awesome. Yeah, it was awesome.
So I was thinking about what my best is. I'm gonna start with my worst. The worst one I remember is a Rift event, and it was just the one where it was like, hey, we're in Diremore, whatever that creepy area is, and it was just like get 3 billion planerite for your team, and it was like a race against the other team, and it would take like an hour.
Are you talking about
And then-
Conquest?
No. It was an actual
Just an
one of the
event?
world events, and you like raced against the other team, and then whoever won went and killed the boss, which is actually almost exactly like, isn't that how Conquest works?
That
too?
is exactly that's how Conquest works. Yeah.
But it was not. It was one of the
Conquest is territory,
world, full rift
Yeah.
spawn events, and it was just the most tedious.
Yeah, that's when
stupid
Mocker
event. It was
logs
the
out.
same one every time. And
Mocker
literally,
logs out.
I swear that it was the one they did the most. It's still more, right? I don't know. It's the one they
Still
did
more,
the
yeah,
most.
that's it, yeah.
And it was just terrible. And then I think the coolest one, I really liked the Scourge event when it was going on. Like I really did. I really thought that was a cool event.
Zombies.
I mean, I don't know if it qualifies as a dynamic event. It was a world event short, but it was just a really, the whole idea of it was cool. And the extra boss in a raid zone that I just happened to be so far behind that's what we were doing was perfect. And like, hey, look, an extra boss in the raid that we're actually on. So yeah, super cool stuff. I like all the tie-in of the story into the next one.
I agree. Well, great topics tonight, guys. I think it was a excellent discussion. I'm looking forward to next week. Hey, TGC Campus, we have a new new intro for our videos. You will see it
Nice
on
logo.
some of our videos that are posted. Now, again, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. You'll be watching us on YouTube because there's nobody in chat right now. And again, I'm Don, also known as Scribian. Got Steve, also known as Godmocker up at the top. Got Dwayne, known as Greer Reaver, in the bottom right, except he's showing off his monitor. There it is. There's the intro. That's the intro. The new intro. You can contact us at TempestGamingCommunity.com or TempestGamingCommunity
Are you serious?
at gmail.com. I've got like 5 freaking guild emails. All right. We're on Twitter, TempestGamecast.com. You can also get in touch or look at our guild and check us out on TempestGuild.us. We will have a screen up there. Such a slacker. Thank you all for joining us. If you have any suggestions at all, you can send your suggestions to SCRIVE2 at MSN.com. Subscribe to at MSN.com. We'll
Topics, debates.
Talk about for the week.
Send them.
Topics and debates. Love debating.
Do it.
Have a great.
Watch the fucking show.
Como fiesta pagana, mi pana, no fuimos hasta mañana. Toda esa guerra moviendo esa nalga, y yo con mi cara te encuentro anal.
Me there with you, dime que te falta. Throw your hands in the air, mano arriba salta. When me there with you, dime que te falta. Throw your hands in the air, mano arriba salta.
Rápido, nítido, eso me dicen al charlar. Hábil con mi roto, eso me dicen al follar. Baby, batería, estoy listo para hacer tu mal. Pero hands up, baby, coming hands up. Hands up, baby, put your hands up. Put your hands up, baby, put your hands up. Put your hands up, baby, put your hands up. Todo el mundo mano arriba, ya llegó el rock boy. Put your hands up, baby, put your hands up. Put your hands up, baby, put your hands up. Put your hands up, baby, put your hands up. Todo el mundo mano arriba, ya llegó el rock boy. Baby, está rica, mami, solita, tu cinturita. Yo la quiero coger. Piquetica, tu mamacita, estás bien loquita. Y nos vamos pa'l motel. Rica, mami, solita, tu cinturita. Yo la quiero coger. Piquetica, tu mamacita, estás bien loquita. Y nos vamos pa'l motel.
España girl can sing ragamuffin. Like John Black, say me wanna tell you something. Me say the España girl can sing dancehall. Me shoulders are like bullets, seguro no nothing at all. What them I want, shout yeah. Them I want, them I want school yeah. What them I want, chat yeah. Them I want, roll yeah. Hands in the air.